What's going on, everybody? This is Always back with another AutoCAD tutorial. I actually had few requests to make interior designing. The reason why I'm making this a bed. So this is a 3D bed. This is what I'm going to teach you how to build in AutoCAD. Bump in a matrix as well. You can see this bump. I'm going to show you how to do NURBS modeling as well, and a bit of surface modeling. So be sure to watch this video completely. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, and if you like the video, smash that like button. That's basically telling me that you guys are liking my video and appreciating my work. So that's being said, let's get started. A new drawing by clicking on start drawing. Before we start, I just want to say, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. And if you think this video is good enough to get a like, please smash that like button. So that's being said, let's get started. Now we are in drafting and annotation workspace, and I've got grid on, and I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to make sure that my polar is on, object snapping is on. Alright, so now let's change the units first. So I'm going to type units, and I'm going to change the units to architectural to decimal to architectural and precision 1/4. Click OK. Now let's set the limits. So type limits. I'm going to press spacebar one time and then 100 feet, 100 feet, right? And zoom all. If you're not sure about what am I doing here, I've actually done a full course on AutoCAD. So you need to watch my full beginner tutorial series on YouTube. On the same channel, so I'll drop a link in the description for that playlist. So if you're not sure about basics of AutoCAD, I would highly recommend to watch that. Alright, so we have set up our drawing. First thing what you should do is save your project. Let's save that 3D bed, and I'm gonna save that in documents. Click on save. Now the file has been saved. I'm gonna start with Polyline, so select the Polyline command. The shortcut key for that is PL. Let's click on any arbitrary point, or you can start from 0,0. So make sure you're starting from your 0,0. I've turned on ortho, so it's gonna let us to draw on 90-degree angles. So let's go up 6 feet 3 inch. I believe that's the right dimension for a double size or king size bed. So let's go to 4 feet 6 inch. Let's come down, and again 6 feet 3 inch, and then you just click on close. So now we have the dimension for our bed. Right now let's zoom in, and what I'm going to do here, I'm going to explode this polyline first. Alright, I could use the line, but I just like to use polyline a lot. So alright, so we're going to offset from the top 2.5 inch, okay, from the bottom and top, right? And then I'm going to offset again 1 inch is fine. So I'm actually using my imagination to build this bed. Okay, so we got that. Now I'm going to use trim command. If you're not sure about trim command should be somewhere here. I'll show you. This is a trim command, so I'm using that command. Now I'm just gonna zoom in here. Let's trim it off as well. Let's trim this off, and let's trim this part. If you want to learn about trim command, I would highly recommend watch my tutorial series. I've explained everything in there. We'll try to explain few commands what I think should be explained, but not every command I can explain, so otherwise it's gonna be a very long video. So I'm offsetting, offset. Let me show you quickly what offset command. So if I draw a line here and I want to offset the same kind of line next to it, so I can use the offset command, which is here, and now I will specify that this distance. So I'm going to type 3 inch, and I will select the object. If I move my cursor to the right, it's going to offset to the right, and if I move my cursor to the left, it's going to offset to the left. Alright, now we have this. Okay, make a few adjustments here. Now we have the top and then a bottom, and then we need another box here at the bottom of this. So what I can do here, I'm going to start a rectangle from this point, and I'm going to bring it down. Let me turn off the ortho. Let's turn off the ortho and start a rectangle command by typing RAC, and then hold your cursor there. Bring it down. One thing I want to mention here, that you see these polar, right, needs to turn on, and then you need to make sure that you select the 45-degree angle. Okay, so I've selected that. Now let's start a rectangle and maybe draw it here, right? Offset that about to 0.2 inch, so it looks a bit better at the bottom. So we don't need this rectangle now. Let's get rid of that. Now I'm going to show you another command here. So I'm going to mirror this actually. I'm going to select this rectangle and I'm going to find a midpoint. So we need a midpoint to use the mirror command. Mirror command is somewhere here. That's right there. Okay, so let's type mirror mi, select that, and I'm going to select this midpoint. I'm going to take my cursor to top and then click and then press spacebar, right? So you got two objects here. Now I can mirror them both. So type mi, press spacebar, select both of these rectangles, and then we have a midpoint here, right? I'm gonna move my midpoint there. There you go. So we have the exact rectangles there. This is the like a shoe of the bed. Okay, we have that now, and now I am going to actually do a boundary command. So BO for the boundary command. I'm going to pick a point. I'm going to pick this point, press spacebar. Now let's move this boundary. I'm going to select it. I'm going to just leave a copy of it right there so we can use that later, right? So I'm going to, that's going to be a mattress actually. So I'm going to draw another line here. Okay, and then I'm going to offset this to about, let's say, 1 inch to the right and 1 inch to the left. Offset again, select this line, and now let's get rid of this line there. Okay, now we're gonna start working on layers. So if I need to turn off something in the bed, I could do it with the layers, otherwise it's gonna be a lot harder for us to do that. Let me just get rid of this line first. Okay, so let's go to the layer properties, and in the layer properties, I'm just gonna make sure that you guys could see it. Now to create a new layer, we can just snap that there. Alright, so to create a new layer, just click on this button and I'm gonna type, let's say, wood. Okay, and I'm gonna create a new layer here. I'm gonna make sure, I don't know what to call it, but I'll call it shoe. I don't know. Okay, create a new layer, and then we can say metal. Okay, and let's create another layer and say wood, inner wood. Okay, inner wood, right? Okay, so we got 4 layers. I'm just going to close this layer properties. Now let's select all of these circles, and let's change them to shoes layer, right? And then we're gonna select these 2 lines. I'm gonna select them as a metal, and then we're gonna turn off shoe layer, right? And then I'm going to turn off metal layer as well, right? Now this is, we need a bit of work here, so I'm going to draw another line here. So let's just draw another line, and then I'm going to make all of this, because this is going to be the same color of the wood, I'm going to name it wood, right? If we need something else, we could do later, right? Okay, let's go back to the 0 layer. I'm going to turn on all my layer by clicking here. There you go. Now we have this. Now we need another kind of model. I shouldn't have deleted that line actually, but I can draw that later. I can draw it again, sorry. Now let's turn off metal layer, right? Now I'm going to draw, let's say, I'm just gonna offset this line actually. Nah, I can't do that. I gotta start from the top because this is a simple, this is the same object. So okay, I can actually do it. So offset that to about, I want about 3 inch or maybe 2.5 inch right? So I'm gonna type 2.5 inch. Let's see how it goes. That's a bit too much actually. So I'm gonna offset 2.5 inch from the bottom and then from the top. Okay, now I'm going to offset, let's say another 2 inch down and then offset upwards. Right now there's two ways that you can do trimming. I am actually going to do a bit of trimming here, so I'm gonna make, let's say, 1 inch, and I'm gonna offset this line to the right, to the left. Okay, so first of all, let's get rid of few lines what we don't need. I'm actually going to get rid of these lines. Okay, now this is basically a support, right? So I need to get rid of this part here, this part there as well, and then this part, that part. Let's get rid of all of these. Okay, cool. So we got that area. I'm actually going to remove this line as well. This is going to be our support for the wood staying on top of it, right? So I have this line now, and I'm going to get rid of this line. Actually, let's get rid of the line, and now we need to draw a line. Actually, I could use the break command, but I don't like to use break commands. It doesn't work very well, so that is why I like to do it manually. Okay, now it's a good time to save our project. I'm gonna Control S to save the project. Alright, so now we got pretty much looks nice. I will use array command actually to do that. So let's select a rectangle array, and I'm gonna select these two lines, and we need to select an arbitrary point now. Okay, it's actually automatically been done for us, right? So for the columns, I don't need 4 columns, so I'm gonna change that to 1. Alright, so rows, I'm gonna make that to 6, and let's see how it goes. We can actually make a little bit more. I'm gonna drag this vertex, and I'm just gonna take it all the way up. Okay, so we have something like this. That's alright. Okay, I'm gonna select this array, and I'm going to change the layer for that to inner woods. Okay, and let's turn off this inner wood layer actually. Okay, we actually have to explode this array, so I'm going to use this X to use the explode command. Explode command should be here somewhere. Well, you can use X for that. If you want to learn where is the explode command, I will show you a quick trick. You can come all the way here and then explode. There is the explode command. It's on command line. You can only access that for command line. It's one here as well, explode. Okay, so we have exploded that. Now probably get rid of this line, leave that line actually. Now we need to select these inner woods, and I'm gonna change that to inner woods, right, which is off. That's why it gave me this error. Okay, what are these now? We need to change this as well, so change it to inner woods, click on close, that's fine. Okay, and then we need to do make another layer actually. I'm going to change that to side holder. Okay, and let's close that, and I'm going to use BO. Let's change the layer first because we don't have to change that later. So select that layer, then BO, right? Pick a point. I'm gonna pick this point, right? And then I'm gonna pick this point. Done. So now let's turn these off as well. Turn off the layer, yes. Now let's go to the layer 1. Now we need to get rid of a few things here. I'm going to get rid of these line. I'm gonna now leave those line actually. Now let's get rid of this, and this. Alright, so we have actually completed our 2D model for a basic bed. If there is something else we need to do, we can always come back and do it. But now let's start working on our 3D. I'm going to turn off a few layers first. I'm going to turn off shoes. Okay, now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 objects, right? So let's boundary them. I'm going to change the layer to wood, right? So we're going to boundary, pick a point, pick this point, pick this point, right? And then pick this point, done. Now let's change that layer to 0. I'm actually trying to teach you guys how to work with layers as well. So right now we don't have anything on layer 0. I'm gonna turn this back on. Now let's go to our 3D modeling workspaces. You can use 3D basics as well, because this is a really basic 3D model, not much to do. So I'll use 3D basic instead of using 3D modeling. Right now we have this wheel. I'm gonna click here to change the view, right? And let's just change this to top here. Okay, now we need a layer. So for the layer, I'm going to use layer properties again, and I'm going to change the layer to 3D wood. And for that, we can change the color to somewhat brown. That seems like it's a wood. Okay, now let's close our layer properties and then use extrude command. So I'm going to extrude. Let me look at the bed again. So that seems like 1, 2, 3, 4 feet. 4 feet should be fine. So 4 feet, let's look at it. Okay, that's all right. And then we're going to extrude this part, and I'm going to extrude that maybe 1.5 feet. Let's see how it looks. Right, so we got that. Now I'm going to select this object and this object, and I'm going to type some dimensions here. So I'm going to say move this to 0 on X value, comma 0 on Y value, and then comma again. And I'm going to say let's move this to about 6 inch on a Z value. Now this is going to move that upwards. Well, that's too much, I think, but we can get rid of these lines. We don't need them anymore. I can find some parts as well. All right, so let's just get rid of the lines. All right, so let's extrude. Let's move them backwards. So instead of using undo command, I'm gonna use a move command because I don't wanna. So 0, 0, minus 2 inch. Okay, that seems alright to me. Now let's get rid of these 2 lines as well. Let's extrude these two objects. Okay, so we have 4 inch from the top, and then I want to make 4 inch from the that's going to be somewhat, let's say, well, we're gonna change something here. I'm going to actually look at the dimension what I did. So use the DI command, select these 2 points, and you can see 1.1 feet 6 inch, right? So we have 4 inch from the bottom, so we have 1 feet on the top. So for that, I need to extrude these objects about 8 inch. And let's change the viewport to 3D shaded, and let's see what we have. Okay, so we have this so far. I'm actually going to do a bit of editing here. I'm actually going to move this. So I'm gonna use the press pull command. I'm gonna select this part and let's change that to 3D wireframe now. Okay, so here we can use press pull command, or you can use, if I go to 3D modeling workspace and then have a lot more commands here. So I think let's go back to 3D basic. Actually, we don't need, if I need any command, I'll use the shortcut key for that. So with this, I'm going to select that vertex and I'm going to click here. It doesn't work because this is a solid object. If you want to change this to surface modeling or NURBS, then you can do that with the rest of the tools. But for that, let's press pull it. So I'm going to select this part and I'm going to try pulling it 2 inch. Okay, and let's select this part. So I'm going to hold down shift key and I'm going to orbit to the bottom, right? And let's press pull this part as well. So let's bring it down 2 inch. Now let's click on this view cube and look at it. I think this is much better because that was too much. Okay, that looks alright to me. That looks okay. Let's change that to 3D wireframe. And now instead of doing this, it's gonna take me a while. So what I can do, I'm just gonna move this part. So I'm gonna copy this. Okay, or actually mirror this. So use the mirror command. So we have 3D mirror here. Okay, so I'm going to select this line and now we need to use 3 points. So I'm going to use this point, right? I'm gonna click on this point and then we need to z-axis. Okay, didn't work because I didn't use the right option. So now select the object. We're gonna select this object. I'm going to use one of these. So XY. I'm gonna select this point and then I'm gonna select this one. Doesn't work. It's been a long time I used 3D mirror. So maybe YZ. So where is Y? And then we need to use enter, done. Okay, so you need to find out what is usable. So if I select mirror command, I select this object again, press spacebar. Now you can see that you got X, Y, Y, Z, 3 points, right? 3 point is a bit confusing, so you guys can find out here. You can see your gizmo, so you need to move that to Y axis, right? So that's the Y axis and this is the object, so you want to turn it to that side, so you could use Y axis. If it was like Z axis, then it's gonna rotate that. So it's just not very hard. Okay, so now we have that. I'm gonna speed up my process a little bit. Now we need to go back to top view. Okay, and now we need to turn on some layers. So for wood we covered everything. Now I'm actually gonna turn off this 3D wood layer as well. Now let's turn on, let's change this to, that's weird. Okay, now let's gonna select all of this object. First of all, change them to 3D wood. It's gone, that's fine. Gone, no problem. Now turn on 3D wood. We have these objects. Let's get rid of them. It's a good idea to clean up your drawing. So let's get rid of that as well. Now let's make a metal. So let's select the metal object, right? And then I'm going to make another line here. Okay, make another line here. My computer is blowing, so I'm just gonna change the wireframe to 2D wireframe. That's gonna put a lot less weight on the on my computer. So let's boundary this, and I'm gonna turn back on 3D wood, right? And now we're gonna use a metal layer now. So with the metal, I have this 1.6 feet, so I'm gonna type 0, 0, and I'm gonna type, let's say I've got like maybe 18 inch, so I can type 9 inch, put that in the middle, and then I wanna extrude this part. I'm just gonna get rid of this, clean up our drawing. That's a lot less work on AutoCAD. So just let's move this down actually, comma, minus 1 inch. Yep, that's fine. Now extrude that to about, let's say, maybe 2 inch. That's fine. This is a metal we have now. Let's change this to 3D solid. Okay, this is the metal. And now let's go back to 2D wireframe. Let's turn off the metal layer. Alright, we need to change this to metal first to turn it off. Again, that's the error. Now let's turn on sidebar holder. Right, now with the sidebar holder, I'm actually going to move them up. So basically on my bed, I've got like, maybe move them to about, I've got 1.6 inch, so I'm gonna move them to, let's say, 8 inch. Oops, undo that. I have to actually type the proper value, 0, 0, and then 8 inch. There's another thing we could do. If I turn on metal layer, and I'm gonna make sure that these things are exactly aligned to this metal. These are not aligned to this metal for now. We need to make sure that this is aligned. So right now it's not, so I'm gonna check the distance. Let's check the distance from this point all the way down. So that's about 10 inch. So for that, I'm gonna undo. I know the distance now. I'm going to move these two objects now to about 0, 0, 10 inch. And now let's go and turn on our metal layer. Right, now let's extrude these. Okay, and I'm gonna extrude them to down about 1 inch. Alright, so we have actually make them 2 inch, make them exactly what we have for the metal. So oops, done that wrong again. Turn on the metal, so ext, bring them down to 2 inch. Okay, so we got that now. Now let's change these to proper layers. So I'm gonna change them to side holders. Done. We got the metal layer. Done. Now let's build our bottom part. Not bottom part, this actually inner wood area. Let's turn this on and turn off. Let's isolate this layer actually. So to isolate the layer, we're gonna turn off all of them except this inner wood. Right, now let's create a line here. I'm gonna draw a line all the way here, and let's draw the line all the way here. Okay, let's go to top view, and we need to make sure that we got the right points now. So I'm gonna select boundary command again, and I'm gonna click, 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 click. It's a bit lengthier, but that's how you do it. There are other ways that you can do, but those are not very effective. I have no idea what I'm saying. Okay, done that. Now let's click here, maybe left here. Okay, so now let's move these objects, all of them. Don't select with the window selection because it's going to select the bottom parts of as well, and I want to leave them behind because I want to keep my drawing clean. So 0, 0, 10 inch. Right, there you go. Now let's change a bit of orbit. I'm going to select these, and I'm going to make them inner wood, right? And then if I select this, is the inner wood that's been changed. So let's get rid of these lines Now let's click here on the view cube to do the proper layer. Now let's turn on all the layers. Okay, so let's see how it looks. That's right. So it looks alright to me. Now I'm gonna extrude them. They are fine, but we have one problem here. The problem is that these two things are not properly aligned with our matte layer. So I'm going to 0, 0, minus 2 inch, bring them down. Alright, so now we can use the extrude command, and for that let me just turn off this 3D wood layer, and let's just turn off the matte layer as well. We don't need them. Okay, so let's extrude these objects. I could use the lasso selection as well. Now let's do 1 inch. Okay, done. And we probably need to move them down. So let's select. I hope I've selected everything right. So minus 1 inch. Alright, so select these, change them to inner woods, and let's go check it out. Let's check out our complete bed, and let's change the shaded. Cool. So we got these things there, right? Looks alright to me. No issues, not at all. But the bed I have in the room, it has something else. For that, there are a few things that you could do here. So I'm actually going to make this video a bit lengthier now, because I'm gonna leave the side holders and I'm gonna leave the inner woods on, and let's do a bit of, let's turn off this. Okay, let's leave the metal on as well. Okay, so the bed I have in the room, this is basically a bend here. So to create that kind of bend, there are a few things that you could do. So I'm gonna extrude this all the way back. Okay, I'm gonna do copy this sheet, I'll drop it here again, right? And then I'm going to use subtract command, and I'm just going to get rid of this. I'm gonna drop this, and if there's something else, I'm gonna get rid of that too. Okay, so now this is what we have, the metal part, middle part, right? This is the metal. I'm going to turn it off, okay, because I don't want this to get affected. So what is this now? Side holder. Let's turn off the side holder too. Use the SU command and select the middle part. Hold on shift key, deselect that, and then select these two, enter, done. So let's see what we have here. Okay, let's just turn on all the layers. Nice. So let's look at it with the 3D solid. Okay, so we have a little bit of bend down, and then we have, okay, so the bed is done. Now it's time for the mattress. Change my viewport to, let's say, 2D wireframe. Okay, now we need a few things here. I'm going to create a rectangle, so REC. I'm going to start from here, and I'm going to drop it here, right? So this is the rectangle we're going to use for our bed. Now I'm going to move this rectangle somewhere. I'm going to hold here, and done. Okay, so this is a rectangle. I'm going to copy this rectangle, and I'm just gonna bring it outside somewhere here. We don't need this anymore. Okay, so now let's go to mesh, and here I'm going to create a mesh box. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to drop it here, and let's say somewhere maybe 9-inch, 10-inch, whatever, it's fine. Okay, now let's change the viewport to 3D. So okay, so this is what we have. So one thing I want to do here is I want to turn off the rest of the layer so it could work. My computer is actually blowing. I don't have a strong computer. Okay, so I'm just gonna isolate this layer. Make sure this is the isolate command. Okay, so we have this now. Now if you go to a mesh tab, select your object, and now you get a few more options here. I'm going to click on smooth more. Alright, so we have this so far. I'm going to click on smooth more, and let's say a little bit more smoothing. Should be fine now. Okay, so our mattress is smooth enough. Let's go back to the mesh and convert this to surface actually. And let's select this. Now this is a surface. Let's go back to surface tab, and here I'm going to click on show CVs. Still doesn't work because we need to convert that to NURBS. Now it's been converted to NURBS. Okay, so now I'm going to basically change the viewport to, let's say, maybe conceptual. Maybe that probably make my computer work a bit better. I hope so, but let's say. Now let's go back to surface tab. Here we have converted that to NURBS. If I select that, I'm going to click on show CVs. So these are the CVs. I can actually select them, isolate this object first. So let's select the object. I'm going to go down to the right and isolate this object. Now hopefully it will work. So let's click on rebuild first. Select that rebuild. I'm gonna make it 15 by 15. Let's see what we do. So now we have more CVs here. Okay, so let's select one of the CV. I'm gonna click on this bloody, and when I move, you can see that it's moving, so you can make a little bit of bumpy surface here. Let's turn on ortho. Let's see what it does. So on ortho, I can just take it top. That's actually too much, so we can actually try and bring it that down. Okay, that's too much now, so I'm gonna try bringing that down somewhere here, and then we can select on a vertex here and make sure ortho is on. So let's just orbit a little bit so we could see this, and I can, oops. That is funny, my computer is actually blowing. That is why. That's the reason, guys. I would highly recommend, if you want to do it, then make sure you have a very strong. Okay, I did a little bit of bump here. Let's unisolate everything now. I'm not gonna do it because this is actually really hard to fix later. So now I'm going to make sure that my computer doesn't break down, so I'm gonna change this to 2D wireframe. Hopefully it should work now. Okay, so as you can see that there's a bump there. You can do the NURBS modeling in AutoCAD as well. I'll do a separate tutorial with my desktop PC. So I'm gonna select this and I'm gonna select this point. Let's turn on snapping, turn on polar, and then let's take it to the right. We need to turn on the layers again. So let's turn on all the layers on. I can do this by here. And let's go back here. I'm going to maybe copy this. I don't really need that anymore, so make sure you select the whole lot. Okay, you probably selected that. Now let's take this to somewhere here and let's look at the mattress what we have here now. Alright, so computer is blowing, guys. Let's change this to a 3D wireframe and let's see what we have. Wow, it went somewhere else. Should fix the problem. Okay, so this is your mattress. A bit of bump there on the mattress. We can apply the clothing material on the mattress later on because I'm going to apply some cloth on it, so my computer is going to break down. Okay, let's isolate this layer. Okay, we have the shoes now. So let's go and select all the layers, turn on all the layer except the shoes. Okay, now let's select everything and I'm gonna move them 0,0,2 inch. Okay, let's go back and let's turn on the shoe layer as well. Now let's look at it, what's happening here. Okay, we have the shoe there, looks alright to me. Okay, so we have the shoes down there, we got the bed. There's a few more things you can do here. I'm going to add some details here. The last thing what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to solids and I'm going to select this fillet command. There is a chamfer command as well. I could use that, but I'll show you the trick. Now we're going to select all the, right now this is how it's going to look like. So this is the bed we have, guys. Designing here on the side of the bed. For that I'm going to change this to a 2D wireframe because my computer is pretty much done. I have this laptop which is not good for AutoCAD at all. Okay, so I'm gonna go back here. Now I'm gonna change my UCS. Just gonna drop the UCS. I'm gonna change this to this. Okay, and let's click here, Y, and for the X I'm gonna select this. Okay, so I've got that UCS there. Now instead of working at the front, I'm actually going to work at the bottom. Alright, so now I'm gonna offset that about 2 inch, extrude this to about, let's say 2 inch, extrude to about 2 inch, right? I'm gonna add a fillet command here. So I'm gonna add fillet, select the radius. So the radius would be 2 inch. Select all 4 edges, enter. Okay, so let's see what we have here. For that, I'm going to move this a little bit outside. Now we have this side. I'm going to isolate this object by clicking here and selecting the object, right? With that, I'm going to go to solids and I'm going to draw some sphere. I'm going to turn off this object snapping. So draw one square here. I'm going to copy this to about, let's say, turn on ortho. Drop it somewhere here. Let's copy these spheres and I'm gonna start putting them. Now let's look at it with 3D. Okay, we have these spheres, but they're not exactly where I wanted. So for that, I'm going to move this sphere to about somewhere here. Okay, now let's subtract them. Select this object, press spacebar, and select all of them if you can. Done. Let's unisolate everything. Unisolate everything. Okay, so now I'm going to take this towards. First, let's try rotating this object. So let's go back to home, change the gizmo to rotate, and I'm gonna select this angle. I'm gonna take this towards this. Okay, now let's just move this. So I'm gonna move this on any point. Let me change the UCS first. So now we got void UCS. I'm gonna move this somewhere I see fits. Okay, looks alright to me. That was the designing I was gonna do. If you wanted to do some architecture, like the curves and stuff, you could draw that polyline, extrude that, and subtract that. That's pretty much it is, guys, for this tutorial. I will do a separate video on rendering, so be sure to check that out. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Cheers.